Welcome to another episode of Metal Mastermind. Guys, in this video, we're going to show you 5 ways to write power metal style riffs. And this is one of those videos where you may have a riff that you're just hanging on to, you love it, you just wrote it, but you just can't seem to take it anywhere. You want to do something a little different with it, or maybe it just kind of sounds like the riff you wrote last week and the week before. You guys know what I'm talking about. So this is just 5 ways that you can take one riff idea and really expand on it. So let's start out with just a simple riff. Actually, it's really just a simple chord progression that just kind of screams like melodic power metal. So here it is. Again, very simple way to start out, but that chord progression, just those 3 chords there, those 3 power chords, I mean, it gives you that feel of melodic power metal. So by the way, we're in standard tuning, and I don't want to limit this just to guitar players. I mean, this is for keyboard players, for bass players, whatever instrument you play, or if you're a vocalist. These concepts we're talking about can be applied across any instrument and really almost any genre of music if you think about it, but we're sticking to power metal for this one. So again, we're in the key of A minor, we're playing an A power chord, going to a G, then we're going to an F, kind of hanging on that F for a little while, and then just repeating that, okay? So what we're going to do next is we're going to add some flavor to those power chords. We're going to make this a little bit more power metal, so let's do this. So we added some little gallops there. I like to call these gallops. It's just a real simple alternate picking technique, a 1, 2, 3, really quick picking technique there. And we start out the power chord with those gallops. Now what this does is kind of give this riff here, this progression, more of an anthem feel. And that's what power metal's known for. It kind of gives you that we're marching towards something, marching towards victory, that type of thing. So this is a really cool technique, just that alternate pick, that 1, 2, 3, again, I call these gallops, and it just adds so much to the riff, especially if you're going for this type of feel. Now, there's more we have to do. We're going to add this in again, but we're going to do something a little different this time. So we kept that little gallop in there, that 1, 2, 3, just gives it that push, that extra edge, but you'll notice that we changed around some of the other notes. We played around with the second note of that power chord. Now, we've talked about this on the channel before, and especially in a lot of my guitar lessons that I give, and this is a very powerful way to just change everything about the song, about the riff, the rhythm, is just simply changing that second note of the power chord. So you probably already know this, your power chord, it's your root note, your first note, right, starting that chord. Then typically we play that 5th note, which makes our power chord. Instead, here we're just moving that next note around a little bit. So I really want you to do some homework on this and play around with moving that second note of the power chord around. Just play around with that, see what different sounds you can get out of that, and start adding that to your riffs, especially if you have some riffs that you feel kind of stuck on. You're like, man, I just don't know where to take this next. You could play the normal riff you have and then play it the second time around or the third time around using this method here. I know I'm harping on this method a little bit, but you can do so much with it. On that note, let's move on to the next way we can change this power metal riff up a little bit. Now we're digging into the heart of power metal. We're adding some melody to this. This is something that you could just get stuck in someone's head. You write something like this and they'll have that melody in their head forever. And that's what you want when you're writing music. You want that song to be stuck in their head. And anytime you add a catchy melody like this, especially with the rhythms of the song, if you add something like this, those single notes, well, you're really going to be able to captivate your listeners and really just bring them into the story that you're wanting to tell with your music. So here, we didn't really play any power chords, but we stuck with the nature of the power chord chord. In other words, everything we played that was based on that A, that G, and that F power chord that we played. We kept that first note of it, but we moved around, creating a melody after that. We didn't just hang on that note. We started playing some single note riffs there. So again, this gave the song a really nice sense of melody, and this is one of those things where maybe you play it one way, okay? You start out playing it with just the power chords or one of the other techniques that we've talked about up to this point, and then the second time around or third time around or maybe the chorus, well, you play this instead. You add those single note melodies in there. Now, there's one way we can complement what we just played, and it's by doing this. What we did here was just harmonized. So I recorded another guitar track harmonizing with the single note riff we played earlier. Now this really gives it a greater sense of melody in my opinion, and this really captivates the listener as well. It really just brings you into the story. I mean, imagine like the riff, going just like the single note riff that's going on, and then the second time around we bring in that harmonizing guitar part. It just kind of builds, right? It just builds the story, kind of getting to the plot here, if you will. I like to relate music and songs. I like to relate them to like a story, like a show or movie, because you're taking someone along in that movie, in that story. They are part of it. The people listening to your music, well, they're part of your story that you're writing, that you're guiding them through. So this is a cool way to captivate people, is by adding that harmonizing guitar part. And all I did here was I just found where the third note was to the melody that I was playing. And that's real easy. If you know your basic scales, just count up 1, 2, 3, and there you are. So in other words, if the first note is that open A string here, well, my harmonizing note's going to be that C. That's 1, 2, 3 in that progression there, okay, in that key of A minor. So that's a simple way to do it. And I'll give you a little recording tip here as a bonus. So what I like to do personally is I'll record one guitar track and I'll pan that to one speaker. Then I'll come in and record a second guitar track, a second guitar performance, and I'll hard pan that the other way. And this way you've got really a nice organic sound. You get all those little nuances in between the guitar tracks. Even when they're playing the same thing, you're never going to play it exactly the same way, which is the beauty of it, because you're going to hear those little nuances in there that really just gives the song life. And of course, when you go to harmonize with that second guitar like we just did, you've really got a nice full sound, and it just brings the song to life. Guys, if this video helped you, please give it a thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe to Metal Mastermind's YouTube channel here. We appreciate that. Hey, and also check out our music courses. We've got guitar courses. In fact, we've got a guitar course for beginners. It's called Metal Guitar Apprentice. If you're just starting out, that's definitely the course that you want to start in. Or if you've been away from the guitar for a while and you just want to revisit the basics, Metal Guitar Apprentice is for you. We've also got Metal Riff Master for those at an intermediate level and up. We've got Sweep Picking Master. We've got a course called Metal Music Theory. We've got our flagship course, our songwriting course called Metal Songwriters Forge. Vocal course, production course, guys, we've got it all. So check out metalmastermind.com and just see which course is right for you. And hey, we appreciate the support. Thank you so much for being a part of the Metal Mastermind community. Guys, until next time, as always, create your own sound.